Hello guys, welcome to my channel for a new matchup analysis. So since I did matchup analysis for game 1 only in French, then the second game both in French and English, since I wanted to test it a little bit how it worked to just record what I'm doing on UB, I decided to do the last one in English just to do something also equivalent on both channels with 2 videos each for the matchup analysis, because I think that's something that people like to watch on my channel. At least I'm getting some positive feedback on this kind of content, so I'm also happy to share it with you. So this second game we play on map number 7, I guess, which is encircle, so either defender or attacker, and we are playing King of the Hill. So you see a little bit the configuration of the map. There are quite a lot of pieces of terrain that are blocking line of sight. You have a hill and 2 impassable that are really in the middle part of the board. If you check, really the main part of the board is between these 3 pieces of terrain. And we have a forest here, a wall, a field, and a ruin. And then, considering the fact that we play King of the Hill, you need to see what are the possibilities that you have. I highlighted what is for me most likely the best option that people will take on this configuration is to take the top, take the big center, which is very often the best choice. So big center top, and pick the wall, because it's a very first of all, wall are a great piece of terrain to defend, because it's very hard to remove a unit behind the wall, and then you can just move on the wall on the later stage of the game, and if nobody can come on the wall, you can claim it. So it's really probably the best, the easiest piece of terrain to defend in most cases. So I think to pick a wall is never a bad idea, and in this case, if you see the position of the wall is really optimal, because it's you can hide stuff behind the hill, still protecting the wall. It's very hard to attack this part of the terrain. You have some limitation on this part of the board. To attack this part, it's quite hard because of the impassable. It is annoying, and then you're going toward a wall that will be protected by some unit that can profit from the hill. So definitely probably the best option that you can choose, which leaves with the bottom player most likely the safe choice would be to take the forest, and then the most risky approach would be to pick one of the other piece of terrain in order to avoid playing on 2 opposite parts of the map. That's a little bit the configuration. If you consider the rest, you could take big bottom and take, for example, the ruin or the forest. Here you have 2 choices, which leaves still your opponent the possibility to take the hill as a piece of terrain to defend and have the big flank. That's also configuration. But in this case, I think it's slightly better to take the big center with the wall. It's really, really strong. So let's talk about my matchup. So here you have a reminder of my list, still the same as the 2 previous battles that I posted on my channel. And this is the list of my opponent. So I try to highlight several stuff. First of all, I wrote down on the right, like I usually do, the homework, meaning just a reminder of stuff that I might need some reminder because I didn't face that often, or I just maybe need sometimes some reminder just to be sure what things do, because it's the worst thing that you can have is to discover what do unit during a battle. So if it's unexpected, it's quite annoying. So we have a general who is a magister on a doom bell. Interesting setup with plate protection, which means he has a 2-up armor save that gives you back the toxic attack. So you see very often that combination on the pendulum. I found here very interesting because the bell is quite resilient with the 2-up, 4-up. It's quite solid. Plus, if you need to add up the power of the bell, that can affect your offensive and defensive skill by -1 or -2. So I found the setup quite interesting because it's not as solid as the pendulum, but still quite solid. You profit from a lot of good rules from the bell, some channels, some additional rules, and you still defensively you're quite good. It's hard to kill such a model. And he paid the second awakening to reroll the touch and to gain magical alone to have a 5th spell. So very, very strong character here. Then we got a BSB on a monstrous rat with a 3-up, 4-up regen and MR2. Maybe one of the weaknesses of the list, because he's sensitive to a lot of stuff as a BSB, especially to alchemy, and also that's why also probably my opponent wanted to protect him a little bit with MR2. which might be not sufficient, because if you have such a big weakness, sometimes it's not enough only MR2. But we'll see. On the opposite side, the good point about this BSB, it's still pretty cheap for a cowboy. I mean, only 400 points. You got a decent enough cowboy that can do a lot of damage in combat. So definitely not bad at all. Then double assassin that are quite scary, with 5 attacks, multiple runes against character. They have also throwing weapons, so quite scary as double assassin. And then we got a 4 scoring unit. So 2 of them are big blocks. 1 big block of Vermin Guard, 1 block of Ratatams. We can expect the Doom Bell to be within the Vermin Guard. In this case, double 2x5 Vermin Hulk. So to have some additional scoring. We know that for Vermin Swarm it's sometimes difficult to get good scoring. So in this case, my opponent, I think, decided to try them. It's still not too expensive for what they do. They can do some damage. They are fearless. They are quite resilient with Resilience 5, so not bad at all. And then he got plenty of chaff. We got 5 chaff pieces total, 2x20 a giant rat, 2 times the gutter, and 1 time the swarm. So 5 potential chaff pieces and double cannon. So very solid list. I try to think a little bit what could be my possible answer to these units. I thought obviously the magic could be a very good threat to the BSB, especially with alchemy, Quicksilver Lash, but also Mark for Doom. Could be also a threat a little bit for the Doom Bell, but still hard to kill with only this type of spell. I think the Great Bull of Shamut could have a chance against the Magister on the Doom Bell because of all the divine attack and stuff, high strength attack as well. So obviously there will be an assassin trying to protect the general, but after that I think the Bull could do something quite interesting again against this model because of the divine attack. Then against the 2 big block, I know very well this kind of unit. I know it's hard to remove them because of the steadfast. So I need to use my tools. I have a lot of threats in my list. So in this case, I think the anointed unit can hold the Ratatams quite long because the fact that he wounds me only on 6 ups because of the Resilience 5. I don't have a lot of armor save, so I can expect to die at some point. But before that, I can hold them in place and maybe with some counter charges after break them. Vermin Guard, I think my best answer to the main unit is most likely the Immortals that are quite solid in combat. But yeah, it's also quite annoying because of the Assassin. I put some marker because it changed a lot what the combat might look like. In this case, Immortal, I cannot really come with the BSB against Vermin Guard because it's too scary. It can just kill me very easily with the Sierra Assassin. So I cannot really afford to have my character within the Immortal, which is a bit a problem, or I need to be ready to take the risk of the Assassin, but yeah, it's very, very risky for the BSB to go against such fight. So I need to be ready if I take this kind of bait, that I'm ready to countercharge heavily afterwards. Regarding the Hulks, I think I have 2 very good answers with Incarnate and the Infernal Engine. Especially the Engine could really stay in front of the Hulk. I can damage them with the shooting as well, especially in short range. So I think here I have some good answer. And regarding all the chaff, that's where I need to use my vassal, my slaves, but also my magic, thinking especially about the Gutter Blade. Don't have a very good leadership, so I could use that to my advantage to cast some toxic breaths and stuff to deal with them. And then I can't do very much against the rest of the chaff because they have a lot of health point, so I need to catch them with other unit. And regarding lightning cannon, good point is the fact that they are only strength 7. They are accurate, so they hit on 4+. I have 2 gigantic, so I need to be careful. But strength 7, it's not strength 10, especially against the tank who has resilience 7. So that's good to keep in mind. Okay, the first deployment scenario that I did is me choosing the side, him dropping everything for first turn, which is quite likely for me. what I imagine in this case is the fact that he would drop the following: Hulk to the side, some chaff pieces around, the two big blocks in the center, one especially, the block around the forest to protect it. I would choose the wall, he would choose the forest in this scenario, put some space between the cannon to get some nice angle against the bull, and put the BSB somewhere slightly in the back to be able to move, turn around, and be safe and be out of range of the Quicksilver Lash early on. And I think the forest is not a problem regarding his steadfast, because obviously on turn 1 he will move forward and go out of the forest to still be able to be steadfast, so that's not a big problem for him. So considering this scenario, I decided to give him quite a soft center, where I have some chaff pieces in the center facing his main block, and then having two flank that are very solid to force him to make choice with his big blocks. And ideally for me, splitting his forces, that would be the best case. So I put on the right the tank out of this cannon, but obviously this cannon can see me. I cannot really profit from the cover without being seen by this one, so I will have a cannon shot on 3+4+. I can't do anything to avoid that. Doing a column with the line formation with the Incarnate to give soft cover, not really an option, because that would put the tank too far behind, so not worth it, I guess. So Incarnate together with the tank, they don't care about panic, so I can take some damage, and then obviously try to, if he goes that way with the big block, I want to, with these two units, to push forward and be ready with the Vassal to score. That's a little bit the idea. In this case, especially moving early on, fast forward the tank and support with the Incarnate with the counter charge. That would be the idea for me. Then my middle would be second Vassal unit, pack of slave, second pack of slave would be further in back, and then Immortal slightly to the side to really force him a choice. So Immortal slightly to the side, Blunderbuss in the back line, most likely with BSB and Mage within. And then as a support, the Anointed that can move very nice to claim some position around here and play with Impassable. And obviously the Bull, very much affected by the cannon's position. He can cover very nicely, so most likely I will need to respect the 48-inch from this cannon in the first turn, and then on turn 2 maybe claim some space behind the Impassable to be a threat regarding the flanks. That would be most likely the idea of my deployment. And then I try to also think about the second option, meaning my opponent won the roll for side, decide to go top to take the wall. If you consider the fact that this is a 3-game tournament, we played both 2 games with good wins, we are 2 points behind the top table, we need a big win to possibly win the tournament. In this case, I would try the following scenario. I choose the wall as well, we take the same, and I drop everything in this corner to make sure that I start and I push. So that's a kind of a rush. I know that's not the strengths of my list. I'm not sure it could work or not, but I think it will be a very interesting test to do for me. I might learn something about the capabilities of the ID to push forward, especially here since I'm not playing my usual Troika 90. It might be difficult to do with the Immortals, but that might be very interesting. Obviously it's a much more risky approach than what I did here, which is I can take time, I can chaff, I can see how my opponent do and react. Here it's much more risky, I have to be very active. So what I put is Incarnate to the side, some chaff pieces, that's Immortal, Blunderbuss here, tank, the Bull. The Bull that can move with, I check a little bit the possibilities with the cannon because of the Impassable train. It can move with 14 behind this Impassable and not being seen by the cannon on the left, and also cannon on the right. So that's quite interesting. But at the same time, still the option to be very aggressive. The tank is likely to turn around, move 10 forward to really be an aggressive. And also I like the fact of having the tank with the Impassable together, protecting the Bull in the early stages. And then right part of the board, I thought about maybe putting the Incarnate, the Anointed also, just to force him to have a choice. I don't like having all my strengths here, but I'm not so sure about this option. Is basically the idea to chaff and then support with Anointed, try to get some counter charge. What I thought also that could be an option would be maybe to put the anointed here, incarnate nearby, then some chaff pieces, here the immortals, with here also blunderbuss, and then the tank and the bull, meaning basically I would leave this central part of the map free from combat threat. Basically the anointed would be also to the left, so I have full strength to go towards him, but then the immortal are a bit more to the back, which is not that much of a problem because I don't want to face too early on some 1-1, so that could be also an interesting idea. And then I would most likely put my vassal here, try to march early on, to put some pressure towards the side and the cannon, just to force him. If you go only with giant rat, you can lose against me. Maybe you can win, but you can lose because I'm slightly better than him. And then if he loses, I could go towards the cannon. So then if he wants really to deal with the vassals, they can do relentless turn 1 and be around here. He will need to really use Hulk units to come toward the right, which would be really nice for me because what's not on the left it's not fighting my unit. So that's a little bit the second idea I had, with some tweaks possible. We'll see. I think quite a lot it is depending on the side roll. I mean, two quite different type of games. I'm really curious to see how it will go. It will definitely be an interesting game because of the boss list. He's causing me some troubles with some of his unit. I'm surely also causing him some problems. What I like about the second option is also the fact that obviously the tank and the bull will be much more active. Most likely the tank will be around here, and then starting turn 2 I will be charging. He will need to give me chaff to do stuff, which allows me to be more active and not only taking cannon shot against me. So that's something I like in this scenario. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Maybe my opponent also decided to do the same. That could be also an idea. If I pick the wall and then he decides to pick the wall as well and drop everything left, I don't think that's something he could do. He will do, most likely, but you never know. I mean, the perspective of starting the game is sometimes good enough to try that. But in this case, I think I could be very good at defending this wall because my bull could be very, very effective by just staying behind the hill, which would be really nice for the bull because, I mean, yeah, I can really protect very well without taking any risk from range damage. In this second case where I will be pushing forward, it's likely that at some point I might have to risk one cannon shot against the bull. That cannot one-shoot me, so if I can, for example, get a position, then be able to move back if he shoots at me, that could be a possibility, a risk that I might take, because if he can't one-shot me, that's something you could risk. If then the charge afterwards is game-breaking, kind of, could be interesting. So yeah, that was everything, guys. I hope you liked sharing on the matchup analysis. I'm very curious to see how this battle goes and how accurate are my predictions. It's always interesting to see yeah, what you expect before and then what happened really during the game. What is the vision also from your opponent. So I'm really eager to play this game. Thanks all for watching and talk to you soon on my channel.